If you're wondering what's involved when it comes to getting a buy-to-let mortgage, the criteria, what's required, or even the difference between getting a buy-to-let mortgage over a normal residential mortgage, then stick around for this video as I'll be explaining everything you need to know when applying for a buy-to-let mortgage. And I'll also be giving some tips and advice from my own personal experience. I've never actually had a buy-to-let mortgage refused, ever. So I'll definitely be giving you my best tips so that you can prepare yourself ready for when you need to apply for a buy-to-let mortgage. And hopefully you'll get accepted first time. So I'm Jason, and this video is all about building wealth through property, passive income streams and investing. So if this interests you, please be sure to hit that subscribe button and the little bell so you don't miss out on any future videos that I publish. So first off, if you're going to be buying a property or investment property that you plan to rent out, then you're going to need a buy-to-let mortgage. Now, I found that a lot of people get confused between a buy-to-let mortgage and a residential mortgage, and they don't understand the difference between the two, or why you would require a buy-to-let mortgage when you could actually get a residential mortgage at a better interest rate. And I know it's frustrating when you see that you can get a much better deal and a lot lower rate on a residential mortgage than the buy-to-let deals. So the main difference between the two is simply down to the lender sees a buy-to-let investment as a more riskier proposition than a residential. So there are factors which need to be considered by the lender, such as the property being unoccupied for long periods of time, or the tenants not paying rent and things like this. Therefore, lenders created what we call buy-to-let mortgages solely for this purpose, whereas residential mortgages are specifically for people who are buying a home to live in themselves. So with buy-to-let mortgages, they often require a deposit a lot higher than with your normal residential mortgage, and you can often find that it's usually around 25% deposit required. I know that some lenders do accept slightly less, around 20%, but then the rate that which you will get is not as good. So I always recommend that if you can, get together a deposit of 25% when applying for a buy-to-let mortgage. So now that we know what's involved with a buy-to-let mortgage, let's have a look at what criteria we need to meet to get accepted. Now this is based on my personal experience, having applied for and been accepted for multiple buy-to-let mortgages over the past few years. So firstly, your rental income needs to be at least 125% of the interest payments that you will be paying on your mortgage. So for example, if your mortgage payments are going to be £200 per month, then your rental income needs to be at least 125% of this amount. So £200 at 125% is £450. Now, the lender will be looking at this as the absolute minimum amount of rent that you will achieve on this property. Now, I found that the higher this percentage, the better, because if your mortgage payments are going to be £600 per month, but the rent that you're going to achieve is £700, then more than likely the lender will just completely refuse or ignore your application because the numbers just don't stack up. So the very first thing you need to do when looking at a deal or looking at a possible buy-to-let property is make sure that the rental income is at least 125% of the interest mortgage payments. Lenders want to make sure that they cover their backs, so they will get this rental figure from a professional surveyor. So don't just go making it up, or don't go hoping for the best, because they will check it out. Do your research, make sure that these rental amounts are achievable in that area, and make sure you hit that 125% at least. So next up, to get accepted for a buy-to-let mortgage, you're going to need a good credit rating. So you can check your credit rating on websites such as Experian. So if you find that your credit rating is not great, then you need to take the relevant steps to improve this figure, because lenders are going to look at your credit rating, and if it's not good, then the chances of you being accepted are diminished. So I highly recommend that you take the necessary steps to improve your credit rating. The next up is salary. And I'm not talking about the horrible green stuff that you munch on, I'm talking about your yearly wage. Now this is something that a lot of people presume doesn't matter when it comes to buy-to-let, because they think that because you're buying a house that you're going to rent out and make a profit on, then it doesn't really matter how much you earn from your current job or current business. So they think that because this house is going to be profitable, that their current income is irrelevant, and that is simply just not true. Typically, lenders want to see that you currently earn at least £25,000 per year. And the reason for this, again, is because they want to cover their own backs. So if you weren't getting paid any rent for whatever reason, they want to be sure that you can still fulfill these monthly mortgage payments. So if you were to apply for a buy-to-let mortgage and you didn't have any job or you had no income, then the lender's going to think, well, if this person fails to get a tenant, or the tenant doesn't pay, or whatever happens to the property, how is this person going to pay the mortgage interest every month? So for this reason, if you haven't got a job or a business or any income, then I suggest you get one before you apply for the buy-to-let mortgage. And another point regarding this, the lender will want to see your last 3 months bank statements and spending habits. So my advice is to always prepare at least 3 months before you're thinking about applying for a mortgage. So improve your credit score, reduce your outgoings, make sure you have a regular income coming into your account, or if you run your own business or company, make sure you pay yourself a dividend within these 3 months so that the lender can see that you do have some income coming in. So once you have your finances and credit score in order, I recommend that you get your whole deposit amount together in one bank account. So if the deposit for the house you're going to buy is £25,000, I would have around £30,000 sitting in an account a good few weeks or months before applying for the mortgage, because it's the first thing that you're going to get asked for. The estate agent will ask for it, your mortgage broker will ask for it, the lender will ask for it. All of these people will want to see that you have the funds available to actually buy this property. So get it all together in one account, go to your online banking, open up the statement and do a screenshot with the amount to prove that you can actually afford to buy this property. Now, as the amount will probably be over £10,000, they will usually do money laundering checks. So don't be surprised if they ask you to prove where this money's come from. Okay, so now that we're actually getting somewhere, we now need all the documents and all the proof all in one place, ready to give to our mortgage broker. So my suggestion would be to create a new folder on your computer where you save everything and keep everything organised. So other things that you'll need to provide are your ID, your proof of address, and your wage slips or SA302 form if you're self-employed. Now, if you get yourself organised before you even speak to your mortgage broker or your bank, then as soon as you speak to them, you can just hand over all this information and all these documents to get the ball rolling as quickly as possible. Now, I remember when I first applied for my very first buy-to-let mortgage, I was constantly toing and froing with my mortgage broker. They were asking for documents, they were asking for this, they were asking for that, and I just simply wasn't organised. However, now when I apply for a buy-to-let mortgage, I have everything already there in place in one folder on my computer, so I can simply hand it all over to my mortgage broker and then they take over from there and deal with the whole application process. Now, it takes me literally 10 minutes to get all this together and send it to them, whereas previously, when I didn't know what I was doing, it was taking me hours, days. I was having to scan things, sign things, do screenshots, and to be honest, it's become a bit of a mess. So if you can get organised and get all of this information, what I've just told you, into a folder, then trust me, it'll make your life a lot easier. Now, here's a few pointers for when you do get your mortgage accepted. Often the lender will charge you more for the first month, so be prepared for your first mortgage payment to be higher than what you expected and what your normal monthly payments will be. You're also unlikely to have a tenant at this point, so just take this into account with your cash flow, because obviously you're going to be paying out without any money coming in. Oh, and don't forget council tax. Yes, they will be chasing you from day one, and they will want paying for every day that property is empty or you don't have a tenant. Now, for me, this is probably the most annoying thing about buying buy-to-let properties, is having to pay council tax on a property that is empty. But what can we do? Now, I know I'm getting a bit carried away now, but if you are looking at applying for a buy-to-let mortgage, then I highly recommend that you take the advice that I've just given in this video, and also get yourself a good mortgage broker, as it definitely will save you a lot of time and a lot of hassle going forward, and more often than not, they will actually be able to find you better deals and better mortgage rates than you'll be able to do yourself. So I hope you enjoyed this quick video. Please be sure to hit that thumbs up button if you've learned anything or taken anything from it. And if you want to ask me a question, please leave it in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer it. Catch you soon.